Alright, this is Time of Crisis by GMT. I'm going to play a couple of hands here. So right now we have the yellow player. It's their turn. And basically in this game you have a hand of cards. For example, this is the hand of cards that he has right now. He's got some blues and some red cards. And what you do with these cards is you have a list of actions over here that you can take, kind of like a menu. On your turn, you do all of these things for your turn, and then it's the next person's turn. So the red cards, blue cards, yellow cards. And right now this guy here has got pretty heavy on the blue, and he's got one red card. So yellow is up here, and they are potentially going to try to recapture this. Right now, Italia, whoever governs Italia, is the emperor, and they get some extra points at the end of the round. So you generally want to be the emperor. The problem is this right here. There are some barbarian tribes, one of which is over here, and then there's a rival emperor down here. And if those guys are on the board at the end of the turn, the problem is it ends up during the support check phase. If a rival emperor is over here in Italia, then it ends up causing removing support, and eventually Italia goes to 0, then they lose emperorship. As well, in addition to that, they don't get to claim their emperor for the turn if there is a rival emperor on the board. So basically, I think that track up there, this track right here, shows how many turns that they were emperor without any contesting emperor. If that's true, then they'll get some bonus points at the end of the game. It's not a lot of bonus points, but it's something. Right now the scores are pretty much tied up. The things that you get points for are how many provinces you govern, which means you have one of your governors on this governor track, on the support track. And then the other thing you get points for would be these improvements. You can have up to 3 different improvements per province. And the other thing you can get points for would this be Italia. How much support do you have in Italia? So ideally you'd like to gain control of Italia and keep it for a little while. So yellow, this is a 2-player game, so the map is pretty tight. Notice these regions around the edges are not being used right now. Now, we can't place governors in these regions, but we can go into them and we can occupy the capital, and we can kind of use it as a staging ground for attacks. But ultimately, there's no points there, so there's no sense in... I don't think there's any sense in heading over there. So it kind of tightens the map a little bit. So for his turn, he's got a lot of blue and then 1 red. So the blue allows you to place governors, and I think what I was planning on doing was grabbing this right here. The problem is that is the same problem that red had. There's this Zenobia down here that needs to be killed off before much happens. Otherwise it's going to cause problems for yellow as well as the problems that it caused for red. Ultimately that's why red lost the governorship of Italia, losing emperor status. So I think what I'm going to do... Also, these cards are kind of interesting. They have currencies at the top, and then right in the middle they've got the event that takes place. And so you can do... The event is optional, but you always also get the points up here at the top to use for your menu. So I'm heavy on blue. So one of the things I can do is I can move my army. I do have 1 red point right here. So I can move my army over to here. Let's just grab this whole army right here. We're going to move it into Pannonia. And that's going to make this placing governor action a lot easier to do. Oh, the other thing we need to do, first thing before we're going to rewind this a little bit. The first thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of this Quaestar. The Quaestar basically protects me against getting captured, having the governor replaced. First thing we do, after we do the upkeep, we roll for crisis, and we rolled a 9. We cross-reference that with this crisis table up here. And a 9 means that we flip the francs, we flip another francs over. So now there are 4 francs. And we roll one more time. And we got a 4 and a 2. That means 4 francs move, and we use the 2 as the direction. Up here you can see the direction is right here. 1 and 2 are Britannia Gallia. So the way it works is they actually move over to here and then carry over into this area here. So there's a tops of 3. So since we move in 4 total, we'll move 3 here, and then there's a 1 spillover into Gallia. But since it's yellow's turn, red doesn't have to worry about it yet. They're gonna worry about it on their turn. That is how that goes. Now yellow's turn, they're gonna repeat what we did earlier. They're gonna move, we're gonna spend a red card to move our units over to here. And it's free to move on and off the provincial capital, which are these spaces here. These are the capitals of the province. So it's a freebie to move off that, and then he moves into this one, and we can move in straight into the capital because no one is occupying it. Then all we need to do is spend these blue cards. First thing we need to do is actually get a leader to place, and we have these leaders here. 3 is the smallest one we've got. We're going to flip with these 3. The event down below doesn't really apply to us this turn. We're going to use 3 to place our leader. We're going to use 3 to make our leader available. And once they become available, they'll be available for the whole game, even after they get removed from being placed as governor. We might as well spend both blue cards to roll 2 blue dice. And the way this works is we need double these points to get the vote. A roll of 2 or higher means a successful roll. Now we do have this Basilica over here. Basilica says roll 1 additional dice for each province you govern containing a Basilica when performing a place governor action in Italia. Okay, so this is actually just for Italia, so this is not Italia. The way that this works would be it requires 2 votes. We have 2 dice. That means we need to get a 2 or higher on both dice. But since we moved our army in there, it actually becomes cheaper. So place governor says that votes required, they're modified by the forces in the capital. So each unit in the capital reduces the amount of votes by 1. So this is an automatic. Normally we only need 2 votes, but this actually makes it completely an automatic. There's nothing really we could do with our blue dice, or blue cards, so might as well just use them both. This is going to kick this guy out, and red will get his governor back, and we can put our governor in place. And it always goes into 1 less than what it currently was at. It was at a 1, so it goes to 0, but 1 is the minimum for placing, so we go into there. And I have no more cards left, so that's the end of my turn. So the other thing we do, and then that's pretty much it, yeah. So right now, yellow has governs 4 provinces. So the first thing we're going to do is the support check. Each of our provinces that contain rival emperors or active barbarians will remove 1 from support. We don't have any of that going on right now, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't need to extend our empire because we're not a pretender, and then we go to gain legacy phase. The legacy that we get will be based on these improvements here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 provinces, 5, 6. So we get 6 points, moving us up to 20. Next thing we do is we can buy cards. So I'm gonna have to put this down to buy my cards. So this is one cool thing with buying of the cards. Basically you have a draw card pile over there, the available pile, and you have a discard pile. So when you use the cards, they go to there. Now when you need to draw a card and there's nothing available to draw, you grab all of your discards and those go back into the available. And the way that this draw works is that There's no shuffling. It's kind of a cool mechanic. You basically pick what cards you want. Once you've used them, they go into your discard, and eventually they'll cycle back around. So it's a really cool way to basically do hand management and mitigate luck of the draw, because there is no luck of the draw. So you can kind of, you pre-know what you're available to do, but it prevents you from just doing the same thing over and over, because you have to cycle through the whole deck before you can get back around. Now, one thing you can do, which is what I'm going to do this turn, is you can dump out some cards to kind of thin out your deck. We are heavy on blue. Notice we've been buying some blue cards. We got a 3 and a 2, but we've got some of these original ones left over from the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin this out. We've got 5-6 points total to spend, and we can buy up to a 4-point value card, which I believe that's the highest thing we have over there. Yes. So all of the cards are worth, cost their face value, and we have 6 points to spend. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trash a card. That'll cost me 3 points, and we have 3 points left to buy. And the next thing I'm going to do is buy another mob card. These mob cards are pretty great because they let you dump a mob onto someone else and kind of weaken them. So I'm going to grab another one of those. I had to grab these 3 from the draw pile because those were remaining. And now I need to select 2 more cards for next turn. So we were able to refill our hands. We're going to do an interesting thing next turn. We're going to go nuts with these mobs. We've got 2 mobs to place, so it's really going to hurt red quite a bit. So that's going to be quite interesting. Hopefully we can weaken him enough to where we can keep him at bay, so that whenever we take Italia over, he won't be trying to harass us. Now, the one thing he's probably going to try to do is hammer one of my weakest areas, which right now my weakest province is Thracia, or Asia over here. And now he can get to Asia by going 1, 2, 3 and get into Asia. So everything is kind of close together. He can kind of circumnavigate this area here that's built up a little bit more with my armies. He's going to circumnavigate and probably attack the underbelly, which is Asia. So that's probably a mistake. But next turn, I've got plenty of yellow to build back up my support. The greater the support, the harder it is for someone to take over, because they have to get twice the amount. So once you get up to level 2, they're going to be needing 4 votes total, which is quite a bit. So they're either going to need to bring an army in or be rolling a lot of dice. Both of those are going to be kind of hard to do in one shot, and it might allow me to get more governors back in and re-secure that area. So that my goal is basically to control 3 or 4 areas here, build them up, and then take over Emperor status over here. And hopefully by that point, yellow will be able to seal the deal. Red is a little bit weak right now, but they're not a threat of being attacked. Now it's red's turn. He's also going to roll 2 dice for his event. He's got no tokens to take off the board, no cleanup. So he rolled a 10. A 10 is equal to Almani, which means we take another one of these, we flip it. So now we have 4 active Almanis. These are all inactive. We'll just put these in one stack. Then we roll the dice again, and we get a black and a... So if the black die is equal to 4 or less, then we move those troops. And it is, so we move 3 troops, and we move them in the 4 direction. So we're going to grab 3. That goes Thracia and Macedonia. So Thracia is going to get all 3 because they pile up like that. So this is quite unfortunate for yellow. He's going to have these guys attacking him. And essentially, the attacks are kind of... they're not an outright attack, but they basically hamper the... They're going to affect and lower the support, which eventually is going to go to the point of basically making it turn back into a neutral. So in a sense, they do make an attack. Now, red has got, let's see the cards that they have. They've got a couple of reds, and they have, so their hand is fairly scattered a bit. Now they could, he does have a 2, he could take back over as Emperor, or he could try to move in 1, 2, 3. He could try to do the Asia thing I'm thinking he does want to do Asia. I think he does want to do the Asia thing. So the other problem is he's got this guy up here, which needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, his support is gonna go down. So he can't do both because getting over to here is going to require 1, 2, 3, which that would use all of his military. So he's going to have to do one or the other. Unfortunately, and he's kind of maxed out with his military up here and up here. Well, he does have one militia, so he could do something. He could boost his military up there and make an attack. So the way that it's going to cost him 2 military points to get him the next level of these guys called Legion, to give him another Legion. The Legions cost whatever that current number is. So the first one is 1, the next one is 2, etc. So as they go up in militia size, or as they go up in size of their army, they will get more and more expensive. So it's free to come out here, and then we spend 1 more red for the battle. Battle is very simple. It's a 1-round thing. These guys roll 1 dice apiece, and they hit on 3s and ups, and then this guy hits on a 4 and up, and this battle is simultaneous. We're going to roll black for the barbarians, and for the Romans, we're going to roll the 2 whites. So these hit on 3s, and this hits on 4. Okay, unfortunately, we've got a lot of hits, but they take 1 hit here. So this guy dies, and he goes back to inactive, goes back to his homeland. And unfortunately, 1 hit from here. So the good news is they won the battle, and they get some points. And they can actually go back into their capital for free. All right, and then for the battle, they get 2 points. So every battle gives them 2 points, and then 1 for each counter remove. So they're going to get 3 points, bumping him to 18. So battles are actually kind of a great way to get victory points. So he snagged that, and he's got this remaining, a 2 and a 1. Well, interestingly enough, I think the 1, unfortunately, is not going to be able to do anything with this, so we can either save it or pitch it. And I think we're going to possibly save it, but the 2... I just realized I could have used this support to block that barbarian. So I could have actually prevented the barbarian from it making a support loss in Galatia, which would have been awesome, because then I could have actually attacked Asia this turn. But oh well, the turn is over. I'm not going to take it back. I didn't quite see that at the beginning. So the 2 we're going to use to make a support check against Italia. And what we need, all we need is 2 to make the hit, but minus this right here, so it's a freebie, 100% win, guaranteed, because you only need to roll 1s, and this actually subtracts 2 from what's required. And so we're going to get back Italian, but Italia is going to be pretty weak, so let's just put a governor marker, and it goes back to the level of how many provinces we have on board. So that's quite interesting. The second time for them to be governor, or sorry, second time for them to be emperor. But it's going to be probably fairly short-lived. We have 1 card remaining, and unfortunately, that's going to be useless. So now let's do a support check. We have -1 to Italia because the rival emperor is still on the map. So unfortunately, this goes down there in the support. Gain legacy, and the way the legacy works is that we focus in. Emperor gets to gain legacy equal to the level of Italia minus the number of pretenders. Okay, so he gets 1 legacy for Italia. Basically, this is whatever the support is what they get, and they have to subtract how many pretender provinces there are plus Yeah, basically they have to subtract all of the provinces that are pretenders. And then we would get to advance our marker up there, but unfortunately there is a rival emperor present on the board, so we do not get to do that. We gain 1 legacy for each. So this is going to give us a total of the 1 point for that, which we still need to get. 1 point for the Italia, plus we get 1, 2, so that's going to be 3 total, putting us at 21. So it's still pretty neck and neck, even though yellow has managed to secure 4 areas. This Italia is basically scoring twice. It's scoring for the support, plus it's scoring for the province. So they're getting kind of double for that. It would be more if we could capture Italia with more provinces. But unfortunately, yellow has these other provinces, so we need to make the attack to snag some more. And red will probably be losing the emperorship soon.